Welcome into a WarChant.com post-game podcast. Florida State on the winning side of one of these last-second nail-biters. 27-24, your final score. Of course, Syracuse missing a field goal as time expires, trying to send this one into overtime. Ryan Kelly and Gene Williams here with you. And, well, first of all, it's just fun to talk about something other than the usual script.
Here we are in November, and we're talking about a Florida State home win for the first time all year. I mean, that is kind of crazy. It's hard to get too excited about the win. There's some great positives about this. I mean, you got your first home win. It was nice to see some of the fans get to enjoy themselves. The players jumping around after a win. You don't see that very often. Your bowl streak is, at least it's in the running. You still got a shot at it. And I asked Jimbo Fisher, if you can listen to the replay on WarChant.com, I asked him about that. I think he made it very clear that is very important to him and to the players to keep that streak alive. So they got a fighter's chance now at maybe doing that, especially because he hinted that they didn't hint, but he did say that it was likely that they're going to make up that ULM game. We always thought they were likely, especially if they won this game. We thought it was pretty likely because, we can get into that later if you want. Obviously, the way Florida's playing, you got a pretty good shot to go down there and beat them, and obviously you got the 2 gimme games. So that adds up to 6, which makes you bowl eligible. So you got a shot at, in terms of the players. I mean, a couple players I liked. Obviously, Cam Akers. Let's talk a little bit about Cam Akers. Let's start on a positive note before there's plenty of negative, but let's talk about the win is positive.
Yards, went over 200.
What's sad is he had over 200 in his last run. He got a negative rush and went under it, which is a shame. But what a great afternoon. You can just see this young man grow and get more mature as a big-time college running back.
And you finally saw one of the last pieces, and I asked Coach Fisher about this in his press conference, Gene. One of the last pieces is Florida State, both in the running game with Cam Akers and the passing game early on with Nyquan Murray, they finally hit the home run ball. The big plays were finally there for them because I think Jimbo Fisher made a good point when he answered that question. He talked, it's hard to sustain 14-play drives. It's hard to sustain. Yeah. He's absolutely right, but the thing is, putting all that's like having a nice touch on the cake and forgetting the flour when you don't score a touchdown. It can mean all you want, but until you have the thing that holds it together, and a lot of times in football, the things that hold drives going is big plays. It's chunk plays. Yeah. It's keeping the chains moving. And first of all, mentally, what that does to a defense when you're able to do that. But, Cam Akers ran hard. He ran angry. There were still a couple times he danced around in this game. But, man, you finally got to see that breakaway speed when he just leans forward, looks ahead, splits a defense, because both of those runs, as soon as he got just past the linebackers, you thought to yourself, it's over. He's gone.
Yeah. Well, a couple of those, I got to admit, in the back of my mind, I go, well, Dalvin would score on this. But then he did. He went down there, showed enough of that second gear, and got down there and got just enough, and had to break a really nice tackle break on the 5-yard line on that first run. I didn't think he was going to get in, but really fought the guy off real well to get in there. So, yeah, real props, and you can see him, the young man maturing before our eyes, becoming a great running back, and it bodes well. And he's starting to read the blocks better. Like you say, he's getting more confident in how he runs. So that's a really big thing. And speaking of the chunk plays, I was surprised. Were you surprised at that stat, Ryan, that the FSU put out? Now, this is the first time since 1976 that FSU's had 3 plays over 50 yards in a game.
It does kind of seem crazy, doesn't it?
I would think with all those explosive teams you had with Jameis and all those ones in the 90s with all those amazing players, the Peter Works and all them, that you wouldn't have had stuff like that.
And that, of course, was a game against Virginia Tech in Bobby Bowden's first season as head coach of Florida State. That's kind of crazy when you think about it, but overall, I mean, there are some negatives to take away from this game, but one of the things that I think is very, very positive in this game, for a lot of this first half, it felt like for the first time you played like a complete football team, probably since the first half of the Alabama game. Offense, defense, special teams, they all played a good role until the end when Dungy comes back, gets that Syracuse offense rolling a little bit. But the thing is, with the system Syracuse runs, they're going to get theirs. Maybe not on back-to-back drives the way they did, but here's the thing. For that first quarter of football, your offense took advantage of the field position their defense gave them by getting off the field, and you can say it's because Dungy was out all you want and say that, Zach Mahoney's not a great backup, and he wasn't. He telegraphed a lot of balls that day. But overall, they played well together. It wasn't, well, the offense looks great now, so the defense has to look garbage and vice versa. Well, for a good bit of time, they played complete football. Not the whole game,
I'm glad you said a good
win.
Bit of time, yeah, because, I mean, obviously you had the fumbled, you had one of the punt returns fumbled, which really, boy, did they dodge a bullet there. That should have really cost you right before the half, and that's an absolute no-no, giving a team a ball on the 11-yard line with a minute left in the half. That could have really bit FSU in the behind, and they didn't. I thought the story was going to be to play the defense in the second half because they made stop after stop after stop. Like, what are we seeing? I thought that was arguably the best half of defense I've seen since the first half of that Alabama game. And then all of a sudden, Syracuse, you go with 5 minutes left in the game, whatever, marches all the way down the field, gets a touchdown, gets the ball back, and frankly ran out of time or they would have scored again. Obviously, they tried the field goal. They missed it wide left. If they had a little bit more time or a timeout or two left, you had the feeling they were probably going to score and win the game. So I don't want to give the defense too much credit. But, again, when I asked Jimbo Fisher, he denied it. But, I don't think he wants to admit the defense was tired. They did run 95 total plays. It was a rather hot November day here. That's going to wear on you. When you're out there, most defenses aren't designed to be out on the field for 80-plus plays, and here they are by the end of that, you're into the 90s in those last few plays. That is a lot to ask of any defense.
Let's chat on the negatives for a bit. And
what? There's negatives?
I think the negative, and it's the same negative for the offense and the defense. Third down. Your conversion rate is horrific. 1 of 13 for that Florida State offense. And the thing is, we talked about it. Chunk plays are something that can break a team's back. It can break a defense's spirit. Heck, here's the thing. When you're 1 of 13, third down, keeping yourself on the field when, I don't want to say disaster is imminent, but at least having to punt is imminent, is such a big deal. It's for the morale, for the psyche, and, of course, just for keeping the chains moving, obviously, first and foremost. When you're not keeping yourself on the field, first of all, you're giving the ball back to a very talented, very explosive offense that's very confident in the system that they run. And, I mean, you don't score points that way.
No.
That's why those big plays were so huge, because obviously without them, if you're 1 of 13, there's no way you're winning this football game. Absolutely no way whatsoever. And then, of course, the defense on the other end.
Well, let's break down one at a time because there's so much to talk on each one. I don't want to get talking.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I know. Let's split it up and break down because they're two very significant things, and they're separate here, obviously.
Offensively.
Let's talk about the 1 for 13 first, Ryan. And one thing you mentioned, and that's part of there's a reason why Syracuse had 95 plays and Florida State had 56 plays, because they couldn't convert third downs, and you're going to be punting a lot. 7 punts, I believe, by Logan Tyler in this game. And this is something, and again, we don't have access to practice, but I would think if you're going to work on some things situationally, it's those third downs. And a lot of those, Fisher always says, well, it's really the first down and the second down. A lot of those third downs were third and shorts that you didn't convert. They had back-to-back here, drove me nuts in the first half. I don't even notice. So they had a 3rd and 2. You see the formation they were in? Shotgun. You're running, at this point, Akers is running wild, and you're in a shotgun. One time you tried to pass, they brought a blitz, easy sack. The next time, I guess it was a running play, but they completely blew that up with a running play with Blackman running the football, and that they both went for losses on that. I don't know what the thinking is there on that. Get in the I formation and go ahead and pound a team that obviously you have the advantage of running the football. They didn't do that. So that is absolutely huge, and that's something that needs to be worked on. It almost cost you there at the end of the game when you had a 3rd and a foot or whatever, and you didn't convert, and then, you fumble. It looked like you fumbled it, and that almost cost you the game. Would have cost you the game if they didn't reverse it. So, okay, Lauren, that's a problem. 1 out of 13. They're lucky they had those chunk plays. They wouldn't have won the game. Now go ahead. Other side of the football, Syracuse converting third downs.
Defensively, Twitter has coined a phrase, and it's been around the Tribal Council. It's been around all the message boards. 3rd and Kelly has been the phrase that's been going around on Twitter. And here's the thing. I don't like to just take shots at a guy like that, but I will say this. It is an absolute problem that your defense all year seems to have the easiest time getting guys off the field on like 3rd and 2 or 3rd and short. And yet when it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, 3rd and a mile, 3rd and 99 yards, 3rd, 2 outs, nobody on, it doesn't matter what it is, they seem to convert.
It's unbelievable. I went through before we did our podcast here. I went through those. It seemed like they had a lot of 3rd and long conversions, so I went through and added them up.
It's 8.
They had 8 of 7 or more, 8 third down conversions, and that's crazy because they only had 11 overall. So FSU I kept looking at 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3. FSU kept stopping them. But when they got those 3rd and long situations, and Fisher did, for the first time I've heard him be critical something defensive. You listen to the post-game press conference. He said, well, we needed to get up a little bit more. He admitted this was an issue, the 3rd and longs. Admitted we have to get up on them a little bit more because a lot of those, what drives you nuts is you see the defensive backs start to back up a little bit.
They're 3 yards past the sticks.
Yeah, and they run these little underneath routes, and they pick it up, drives you nuts. And I'll tell you, FSU, speaking of that, dodged a bullet. I don't know if you caught this one. That one wide-open touchdown they had when he ran down the middle of the field.
I did not see it, no.
The first half, I'm talking about the long touchdown Syracuse.
Oh, yes.
The guy was whipping right open. So they put a running back in motion, and the secondary got confused, and he just ran wide open. They ran a little kind of a similar scheme down on 3rd down on the goal line, and then put a guy in motion on the side in the middle of the field. Whoever's in the middle, safety went over. The middle of the field was wide open, and thank goodness Derek Kelly came through. Not Derek Kelly. Derek Nottie came through and knocked that ball down because that was an easy pitch and catch for a touchdown right there. The same thing as running wide open in the middle field on 3rd down. So their defensive tackle bailed them out of that one, or it would have been another disastrous 3rd down thing that might have ended up costing the game. So, yeah, that is another situational thing. I think, really, honestly, the 2 biggest problems this team has right now, we just talked about it, Ryan, is 3rd down conversions on offense, especially 3rd and shorts, and 3rd and long defense on the other side of the ball. That's where situationally this team is awful. They've gotten a little bit better. Remember, they were bad in the red zone earlier in the season. I think they've gotten a little bit better converting in the red zone. But that is a huge problem that's got to be fixed going forward.
Florida State's had a lot of time pimping out that they're 19 of 21 in the red zone, and early on in the season it was a lot of field goals. But to their credit, you're right, Gene. Over the last couple of weeks, they've done a much better job of when they get inside the 20, turning it into 6.
Yeah, but that stat they give, and I cite that when I'll go out and look it up here while we're doing this. But then my 5 takes, I always do the stats. What I look at is not the red zone percentage, because FSU is always good because generally they have a pretty good kicker. What really matters, you get inside the 20, how often are you scoring touchdowns? And on that, I'm looking it up right now. Not great for radio here.
Hey, it's all good.
Yeah, but so Florida State ranks 123rd in the country in touchdown percent. No, this week isn't counted yet. But as of last week, after those games, Florida State is 123rd, converting, it looks like about 45% of the time. When they get inside the red zone for touchdowns. And I believe they are the only – there's only one other – Duke is the only other Power 5 team that is ranked lower than FSU in that category. So that tells me that's another major thing. I do think they've gotten actually, believe it or not, slightly better than that than early in the season. But
yeah,
that's another situational thing that I think is good. And I think the fact that Ricky's gotten so much better kicking the football, he's become almost automatic, that it's a little easier when you get inside there to think, well, especially, in a game like this when they were up 7, it looked like they were playing for the field goal to go up 10, go up 2 scores. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that, but I think that's what's going through Jimbo Fisher's mind.
Well, regardless, I think the final point that you have to make today, and it's more a soft factor than anything, but it played a big role. Florida State looked like they cared today. You can say what you will about some of the sloppy performance at times. You can say what you want about, you should be beating a team like Syracuse far more than you did. But they looked like they tried, they cared. It was a far cry from what you saw on Chestnut Hill last Friday, I guess, is just the best way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of – part of it was amusing, but it was also refreshing to see the players celebrating afterwards. There were guys jumping up in the air, chest pumping, high-fiving, jumping up and down, running on the field like they just, beat a ranked team or something. But I guess part of it is like, look, they finally got that home win. A little bit of that monkey came off their back. It looked like another's going to slip away, too, the way the end of that game was going. So I kind of chuckled a little bit like, wow, you're celebrating a home win against – by the way, I don't know if you're aware that Syracuse has beat one Power 5 team in the last 3 years.
Clemson.
On the road.
Oh, on the road.
On the road, they beat one. That was Wake Forest last year, I believe. Or maybe that was 2 years ago. So they beat one Power 5 team on the road in 3 years. So, and that was BC, I'm sorry, last year, I believe. So, and you barely beat them. So, I mean, but again, you're right. It's a good point. They were a little bit more invested. You could tell it was great for them. They're excited for them to win this game. But you were still outgained by 120 yards. Their field goal kicker had to miss 2 field goals. You had to get a reverse call on a fumble near the end of the game. It's a win is a win, and they're hard to get. FSU certainly had a couple games probably should have gone their way. And maybe this one could have gone against them was my point. But, I mean, you take the win, you go on, you got a shot at getting to a bowl. But this isn't exactly a game you're going to go, well, they've turned the corner on.
You mentioned it, that fumble at the end of the game. Let me ask you straight up. If that call isn't reversed, does Florida State win the game?
They do not win the game because there's the extra time. You could tell Syracuse was pretty much moving it at will at that point. Again, part of that is that's why they run that offensive system where they get all those plays and it wears defenses out. So if they're in a game at the end, they've got the advantage on you. You could see the tide had kind of turned in that matchup. Plus the momentum factor that when you fumble a ball down at midfield, when you're just all you need.
You saw it against Louisville.
All you need is a couple inches in that play before to put the game in. The game's over. And if you do that and they do that, what's the mentality of every player in that team that go, here we go again? Something crazy happens right at the end of the game, and we're going to lose.
And I think just the very fact that, 4th and inches like that, if you creep it up, you win that ball game just with a couple inches. And the very fact that you had to punt the ball and you had to put your defense in the situation again to say, all right, well, it's about 80 yards away, and you got to go win it for us. And listen, it's inexcusable that the defense is blowing it as much as they have at times, but I think if you're the defense, you're driven a little nuts that for the 7th straight time in a football game, you're asked to go win it like that. You're asked to go get that stop. That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they did enough, I guess, to get the win. At least they did force a field goal. I was a little worried on that last play where they picked up a few yards to put them in pretty good field goal range that they might trade. It seemed like some of the safeties were creeping up again. I was having nightmares, flashbacks of the Miami game. Let's get McFadden matched up one-on-one and try that little fade and see what happens. But, I guess they wanted to set up for the field goal on that play, and that's fine. But, yeah, I guess they did just enough to hold on to win the game, so you do have to give them credit again for getting the W. But I don't think there's too many fans that are thinking this is the turning point that Florida State's suddenly going to play up to its potential. I mean, let's face it, next week's going to be a juggernaut at Clemson. Clemson, I know right now as we taping this, is struggling a little bit with NC State, but that is at the Wiz Palace. That's a tough place to play at. Clemson's going to be at home. They're going to see Florida State on the other side of the field. You know you're going to get your best game out of these guys. And they're not going to look at that record. They're going to see the Garnet goal across the field, and they're going to give it their best shot. Absolutely.
And on top of that, you mentioned it. Here it is, a shot at a bowl game now in sight with Syracuse as a win. I find it funny that, on Monday it was, well, I'll let the administration care about the ULM game. After the Syracuse win, yeah, we're probably going to play that thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, they should. I mean, why not? I mean, it is such a remarkable streak. You got to keep it going. But the other thing we talk about all the time, Ryan, and that is the benefit it is to those young players to get in that additional practice.
Oh, absolutely. That's 3 weeks of practice.
Yeah, that's huge, especially for a team like this that's going to have to rely on so many young guys on the defensive side of the ball next year. Because let's face it, FSU's probably going to be, Shreveport, Louisiana, or someplace like that. It's going to be an awful bowl. But so Derwin's not going to probably play in this thing. McFadden's not playing in this thing. I can see maybe one or two of the defensive linemen are not going to play in this thing. Who knows? Maybe Matthew Thompson play. You're going to have a lot of the veterans who are going on in the league that are not going to play in that game. And that's perfectly fine because the bowl game is meaningless. But what is meaningful is to have those 3 weeks of practice for the Nazardines, for the Stanford Samuels, the Leonard Warners, the Josh Kandos, the Marvin Wilsons. That is so huge for them to get almost a whole month of practice and then to play, maybe even start in a bowl game.
Well, there's just another half of the season left to go for Florida State as we hit the month of November. As a matter of fact, I'd say probably more like a month left of this season.
Yeah.
We got to see how it rolls out and see if Florida State can keep that streak alive. But for now, smiling faces at Doak Campbell Stadium, 27-24, your final score. Gene, thanks as always for joining.
And, good to be here.
And, of course, we'll have plenty more for you over the weekend on WarChant.com. Wake Up War Chant back with you on Monday to go a little bit more in depth with the game. Until then, have a great one, everybody.
Great job by Syracuse. It was a heck of a game. Dino's got that team playing really well, doing a great job with them. Got some senior leadership in those receivers and quarterback and defensively. Did some nice things in the game. So they did a great job. Very proud of our guys. Like I said, competed hard, a lot of heart and soul. Didn't always play smart. Didn't always do things we got to do. And when you play young guys, that's part of what you're going to grow through. You got to learn to go through it. They got to grow through it. They got to learn, and you got to teach. But their ability to compete and do things was their heart and soul was in it. So got better. Learned to overcome. Scored enough points. Hit some big plays in the first half. And third down, when I knew it going in, we weren't very good at all. We didn't do very good. They hit some big third and longs, which was very disappointing. And some key things, but a couple times I had a little interference on one or two there, threw some guys out of the way. But would have helped, but didn't get called. But our punter did a nice job in the game. Ricky hit the big field goal, was huge right there in the second half to do that. But our kids overcome enough and come out and won. And sometimes that's what it needs to jumpstart you. And got one down the books. Got to keep going one at a time. Questions?
Coach, how impressed were you with your freshman backfield today with Blackman and
Blackman did a good job. We got to protect him a little better. He had some chances to make some plays. He misread a couple things. Had an opportunity to hit a big touchdown throw there. But his toughness, his competitiveness, ability to make the big throw on the first drive was very impressive. Cam was out, ran the ball extremely well. Got a nice little screen catch on one, big plays, finished runs, hit the home run, which is, and he did the home run the right way, not craziness, but with good hard runs, and then split it and ran, and he had an outstanding day. Very proud of him.
Jim, could you talk about the confidence of winning at home today and how that relates from going on the road next
Well, it is. I mean, you got to get them one at a time. You just got to learn to play and learn to fight through, and all of a sudden, that's the word. You hit the key word in ball, confidence. All of a sudden, if you pull those games out and you hear coaches say, and I've heard coaches, they won that close game, and all of a sudden your confidence goes, and all of a sudden it takes off. When you lose 1 or 2 and then 3 like we have, all of a sudden you're like, what's wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? And learning to get through that hump can be huge, and believing in yourself, and that's a big part of what happens. That's exactly right. Great question.
The finish could have been a carbon copy of the Louisville game.
It wasn't.
And there were some other issues that kind of continue, but what do you think the difference was in turning a game like that into a victory today?
Just keep fighting, just keep sawing wood. There wasn't no secret. Guts, make plays when you got to make them. They had a chance for a field goal and they missed it. Unfortunate for that kind. And I hate to say that. I love our team, but I feel it for their kicker. I hate when that happens for a kid because he's got parents and things too, but because he made some good kicks in the day. But our kid's gonna keep fighting. I'm gonna keep trusting him, and it wasn't what we had to do. Put him in position, keep learning from it, and move on.
Coach, talking about making plays, Derwin seemed like he made a lot of third down.
He had some big third down stops. Boy, I wish he could have held on that one. He made a big interception the first drive. If he could have held on that one, that other, but he's getting cut as it did it. But he really, his heart and soul and his ability to compete, and people question whether they're going to play hard or what they're going to do. Don't question that.
What do you
get to play hard.
What do you think are the most important things moving forward to try to make a bowl game this season?
Keep playing hard. Saw him wood. Don't worry about the bowl game. Biggest thing, don't even think about the bowl game. Biggest thing is think about playing well that week and practicing well, and understand that's in the back of your mind. You got that responsibility. 40 years of winning 35 bowl games. You got that responsibility. That's the burden you took when you came here. Now carry it and go play your tail off and practice in the games.
Jimbo, did you notice that early on that they were competing at the level you wanted them to compete
Yes, they did every game. Last week they just got shocked on the road and have all year. I did never doubt it. Never doubted it in practice when we went back to practice this week. All y'all did.
Jimbo, can you talk about the run game? I know Akers had over 200 plus yards with 2 touchdowns.
He did. He ran the ball well and finished big runs. And we were I'm going to tell you, we were 1 block away from about 4 more runs that just gashed. One guy misses a block, and they're out the gate for some more. But that's ball. You got to keep making. We're still not playing efficient enough, not playing smart enough. I mean, Hampshire on a 4th down stop on an interception throws it back in bounds. I mean, and now, does it come from a bad spot? No. It's because he's like, I saw somebody there and I thought he could catch it and go. I mean, it's from wanting to make a play. But that's what happens when you play youth. But the ability to be there and how about this ability to make that play? I mean, things like that. But the running game, those young guys playing Stanford Samuels, playing Kane Doe, playing Cyrus Fagan in the game. I mean, all those young guys, because of injuries and guys banged up, they're getting their opportunities. They're going to be really good players, and they got to learn. They got to go through it all.
Jimbo, the defense made some really big stops in the second half. Now they drove the last couple series. They ended up with I think 95 plays. Is that part of the reason why maybe the defense faltered a little bit?
No, I didn't think it. I mean, they just had their plays and opportunities. Kept giving too many at-bats and getting off the field on 3rd down. That was it. We got to get 3rd and long. We got to figure out a way to do a better job, and we got to pick up a couple more on offense. That's a shame. Big thing, it shouldn't even been out there. We're 3rd and 1. We got to get that snap executed and get it up. They went 2-1s, which pinches and make that snap doesn't come up like that, and you got to clean that up. But they shouldn't even been out there. Offensively, we should have took that 1st down there and ran the clock out.
Coach, those 2 long touchdown runs for Cam. Of course, Nooney gets that big touchdown pass at the beginning. Was it nice to finally get the offense in some chunk plays?
You got to. If you don't have chunk plays, you're not going to be a great offense. You can draw it up any way you want. You can draw up drives. You go those 12, 14 play drives are all great. You don't do a lot of those. Like we had, so I was proud of the Duke game. We didn't score points, but we had 4 drives of 14 plays or more. That's hard to do. It's a challenge, but you got to hit chunk plays and you got to finish in big areas, and they did, and that's the key. It's like hitting threes. You can shoot 2s all day, but you got to have some 3s in basketball. You got to hit your home runs. The guys that are when they get in space, they got to finish runs and put it in the end zone. I was proud of those guys for doing it.
But Ricky and Logan both made some really big plays on special teams for you.
Yes, huge. Hit good punts. Logan had a really good day. Then he missed a couple there at the end. He had some really good. Could have had an unbelievable day. Ricky hit the big field goals. I mean, it was good.
In contrast to kickers, like you said, was to know that he's reliable, especially on the 49-yarder to kind of get some.
Yeah, I mean, we feel confident. That's what we finish up every day. We finish up around the 50, 52, somewhere in that range every day, and we feel very consistent with him in that it's just like a normal kick. He feels very comfortable.
Jimbo, you gave DJ another shot after that fumble, and he gave you a good punt return. Was there any doubt about? Did you have anything else you were thinking about?
Ain't a lot of people left to put in there. Who else you gonna put in there?
I mean, we've tried them all and probably we've done it all. So, and there's another example. DJ who did, but wanting to go make a play. That ain't the time to make a play. Youth and ability, and all you guys, you understand. Well, he's got this guy, young guy got ability. This guy got ability. He's a 5-star. Yeah, but you got to learn to play. And there's nothing wrong. They got to go through trials and tribulations, and he's wanting to go make a play. That's the time. Just give me the ball. We got the ball coming out second half. And just give me a fair catch and go. But he is natural as the day is long doing it. He's extremely natural doing it. Probably one of the most natural I've ever been around as far as catching the ball, and just got to learn to make better decisions, and that's going to come with experience. How you get experience? Put him in the game.
Joe, how redeeming is this win? You spoke about the doubt that your team has after last week and this 2-5 start. How redeeming is it?
Well, it feels good. Now he's got to go do it again. I mean, and makes it happy again. The locker room's happy, and that's the whole key. I mean, well, guys say, well, we're not having fun. Well, you don't have fun when you lose. You have fun when you win, you have success. And to do that, you got to go prepare to have success. You got to practice. You got to watch film. You got to play hard. Then you got to go do it. And then you got to fight, scratch, and claw. And that locker room was happy, and they were happy, and it was great to see it in their face. Because as their coach, just like I said, I have kids too that play ball. I know when they're happy, when they do well. As a coach, you love seeing that look on your player's face. You love to see the joy in their eyes when they've succeeded and had something good happen to them.
Jimbo, with all the pressure that their offense puts on defense, you kind of have to, I don't say concede some things, but do you not get too worried about the yardage?
Well, you do, but you got to play some of those things a little tight. I still think we got a little soft on a couple things right there, and we got to play more aggressive in some situations. But they did a great job of containing things. But again, it was mainly the third down stuff. I had them on a lot of 3rd and 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. We got to do a better job there. We know that. But you do concede some things, but I think we could have tightened some things a little bit. But I was very proud of our defense, the way they competed.
So what does it say about a guy like Noddy to lead you in tackles against that offense that goes so fast?
Well, we practice what we do. I mean, when you play like you do and you get Okie, and he's a 0 nose, and if they double, then they're going to free some other guys up, and they single blocking. You're not going to single block them, and get the push. And Derek, I said, has played outstanding football all year. And he's an unbelievable leader and a great guy.
Jim, but when they had that roughing the passer, when the defensive end kind of took Blackman down, I don't know if you saw Akers was the first one to just go run up to him, give him a little stiff arm.
Well, I don't know. No. He needs to go back, pick the quarterback up, and I appreciate that. Maybe say something, but walk away. Because then your full run get a 15-yard penalty, just like Derek Kelly did in the Louisville game. Because then all of a sudden now you get in a push-it match, and then what happens? You get 15 more. I love that. And myself, I probably would have done. I'd probably got up myself and said something. That was the way I understand that. But like I tell them, do as I say, not as I do. Okay. But I understand that. But at the same time, again, toughness. The guys who play with great toughness and intensity, but you got to play with intelligence. There's a time to do those things and pick your moments, and you got to be smart when you don't. But I love the competitiveness. I mean, he's right there for his teammate now. They're going to fight for each other now.
Say something about him. The very next play, he takes it to the house.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was wanting to play. He's competitive. He was ready to roll.
On the third one, did you see that James was down? Did he tell you that he was down?
Mm-hmm. He said he was down. And on his knee, when he said, I picked it up, his knee was on the ground. I saw him, I thought, pick it up. And when we asked him, and they said it was. Snap disc. They went 2 1s down in there, and everybody tries to get in, and you got to get down in, and that ball gets pinched off. And as crazy as that sounds, people say, well, you go get a yard. When people get 2 1s on you, the hardest thing in the world to do sometimes is run a sneak. Because the pressure it puts on the center when they take both legs out to get your hip down in there, and you get knocked back. Now you can step aside, and there's an art to it, but it's a lot harder than you think, and that's kind of what happened on that play.
You guys made a lot of big plays today, but you guys also 1 for 13 on third down. How do you rectify that problem going?
You got to go back and work at it. I knew going in, and that's third down. We had done a really good job for a while. Early we struggled, then we got for about a 3-game stretch. We were really good, about 50%. Now we just got to go back and practice it and make sure we know what we're doing. And some of that was them, and some of that was us. It was a mixture of both.
Coach, after the game, it looked like you and President Thrasher kind of shared a moment there. Can you talk about what was...
No, John's unbelievably supportive. He's a tremendous president, loves athletics. He's for us 100%. And what we're doing, and just happy he's just there supporting us like he is all the time. Good or bad, John's always there. I mean, John's always been there. He's the forefront. He's an honest guy. You can talk to him. You get good answers out of him. I mean, he's one of the best guys I've ever worked with. And I'm not saying that because, listen, he's a straight shooter. And it's like I am. We don't have to mix words, and he's a happy guy who supports all of his athletics in this school. He's a tremendous guy.
Jimbo, with the big runs, it's just with Cam now more confident and patient.
Yeah, learning what to do. We're blocking better. We're getting better blocks. We got some all-star receivers did a good job downfield on 2nd and 3rd levels, which allowed him to make some cuts, and his patience to know his scheme and what's going on.
Jimbo, to win a bowl is now very much a possibility for you guys. Is that, important for you and your staff to keep that incredible streak going that FSU?
Yeah. I mean, it's upon the obligation you got here. You have 40. Nobody's ever won 40 straight winning seasons, 35 straight bowl games. I mean, that's very important. But at the same time, you can't let that paralyze you. You got to understand how you got to go play in the game. That, like I told them, if that doesn't make you want to strive to practice hard and play hard, or the legacy you left, and I'm going to tell you what, the respect those guys, the 2009 team that gutted itself back in and made those plays to keep the winning bowl streak alive like we did against Maryland. We're down, we throw a pick with 3 minutes to go. Remember that game? We're down 3 and throw a pick with 3 minutes to go. Defense walks out and gets a hold. They punt a little ball to a little guy named Greg Reed who wasn't supposed to catch it inside the 10 and reaches outside the line and catches it and runs it back to the other 40. And then the young freshman quarterback who had 3 interceptions in the game, E.J. Manuel, scrambles and runs us down the 5 and Lonnie Pryor scores and we go on. The pride that team had to keep that alive, same thing this one has. And hopefully they'll do and play through. Now, there's a lot of ball. I mean, we got a lot of football we got to play and some big wins we got to have. But, you know, they're playing for it. There ain't no doubt. And it's very important to us because that's the legacy of this school, and that's what it's about. It's one of the reasons they want to come here, one of the reasons I want to coach here. That's big, but you can't let it paralyze you. Go play.
Coach, what do you think are the chances of this UL Monroe game being rescheduled?
I probably most likely will. I mean, we'll have to talk to Stan. We'll see. We'll make those decisions and let us know.
Jimbo, you seem irritated that people suggested that the team quit maybe.
I am very irritated.
And
you said it.
I'm not the only
You want? Whoa, wait a minute. You say, wait. You sound like a player now. I ain't the only one who made a mistake. He made a mistake too.
You said it. I'm just saying.
I did say it. You said it. You did.
No, but I'm asking.
They didn't quit.
You never saw that at all.
No. I know what happened. I know why it happened. And that is something. That's something you're never going to see us do. Right? You can write that.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
It's funny, yeah.